Hey folks, it's Kist. Today we're going to go over exactly what my favorite builds are for the rogue class. First, I'll be talking about when to use each of the amazing perk choices. Then I'll go over the differences between your potential activated abilities. I personally have two different rogue builds that I'll switch between depending on my team's composition and my wealth. After that, I'll explain the various item enchantment combinations that you can hunt for to create an unstoppable gear set. We'll touch on hitbox manipulation, and I'll finish up by explaining my thought process during a fight. Before picking any perks, we have to understand the damage type tier list. There are quite a few different types of enchantments that will ultimately add damage, but in different ways. This list was tested from the perspective of a ranger, but I think it still applies to us. I've been told there's a hard cap to weapon damage though, so stacking into it entirely may not be best. Alright, let's dive into the perks. Ambush is a must-have for a stealth build. When taking Hide as your activated ability, you are foregoing the 50% damage boost from weak point. Ambush is almost necessary just to be able to deal a reasonable amount of damage during a fight initiation. You can pop Hide during a fight with no intention of actually using stealth, just to grab that 50% weapon damage bonus. I'm not sure, but you might even be able to do that with invisibility potions. Backstab is a critical perk for every build. 30% increased physical damage when attacking from behind is too valuable to ever not use. Headshots multiply damage by 1.5, so just imagine how much you deal with a backstab headshot. Combined with weak point in a burst damage rogue build, it's incredible. Dagger Expert is the perk that I like to replace ambush with when I run a burst damage rogue build. A percentage increase to your entire physical damage stat is not as good as ambush, but with no way to activate it without hide, Dagger Expert is more appealing. Lockpick Expert is damn near the reason to be a rogue. This perk pays the bills, and using it early in the wipe can be a game changer for your entire team. Everyone wants that juicy loot, but only we can get it reliably. When your homie asks what was in that chest, pocket the purple trinket and tell him it was Grey Boots. Rogue life. Poisoned weapon is amazing. It adds an alternative win condition to every fight. When you are a stealth-oriented rogue, you will often stab someone 4 to 5 times before they notice. By then, you've already inflicted the maximum stat count of 5 for poison, alongside rupturing them. The real secret of this playstyle is that magic damage can actually increase the amount that poison hits for. I'm not sure if this is a glitch or not, but for the past few playtests, every single tick of the damage over time gets the damage bonus, rather than it applying to the damage output of the entire duration. Physical healing used to work this way, and it got a huge nerf. Stealth is required if you are using Hide. Stealth lets you walk 10 steps during your invisibility. It is actually insane that this isn't just built into Hide. Who is using it without this? I guess it's just to eat one of our perk slots. You will often hear me counting to 10 under my breath as I walk around in Viz. Now I'll talk about the skill options we have to select from. Rupture is our bread and butter, both as an undergeared stealth rogue in the early game and as a Chad burst damage weak point rogue later. This deals 20 physical damage over 5 seconds, and this value scales with any physical damage bonuses you may be equipped with. When you start pumping buffs into it, it gets to be a pretty insane damage over time. Combined with poison, your enemy will feel like he is getting attacked by a swarm of invisible bees. The unfortunate thing is that your poison and ruptures scale off different stats. Hide is the early game carry. For solo play, it is a requirement. While it is a good tool for evasion, using it aggressively allows you to close the distance between you and an enemy without them even realizing it. Activating it behind corners and waiting for the enemies to pass and expose their backs for a quick pick is an amazing way to passively contribute to an initiation. Walking out from behind that corner towards them while invisible is a great mind game they won't see coming. Even if they had seen you prior and were smart enough to check that corner, you were smart enough to leave it. Activating it during a fight is not necessarily a horrible idea, as you can slowly crouch walk any direction away from your prior position and potentially bait a swing from the enemy that you could break invisibility to counter. Weak point is the game changer. 50% extra damage. Still great even though it got nerfed. I used to mainly focus on being a stealth rogue, but one day on the trading guild some rando was offering intelligence for 100 gold. That was nothing to me at the time, so I gave it, but he didn't answer fast enough, so I left into a raid ready to take the loss. An hour later, the random guy turned out to be CDN III, entered our chat, and hand delivers me the intelligence. He let me know that weak point combined with rupture is meta and absolutely implodes your enemy on hit. Well, he was right. When you pair this perk with rupture and say fuck it to invisibility, you are unlocking something the devs never wanted to exist. Prior to last playtest, weak point used to deal 100% extra damage. Back then, a backstab headshot with a legendary kit would be around 170 damage. That was insta-killing every class at the time. That is the build I always strive to achieve. Generally, I'd say you are ready to transition into a weak point burst damage build when you are outputting enough damage to 3-hit skeletal archers. Taking weak point right off the bat when you only deal 14 a hit is a recipe for failure. Time to check out what kind of gear enchantments I look for. As we talked about earlier, there is a tier list of damage-oriented enchantments that should be valued over anything non-damage related. There are a few rogue-specific technicalities regarding that list though. Rupture benefits from physical damage. Sure, we're already looking for that stuff anyway. Poison benefits from magic damage. That is something you might have to go out of your way for to actually incorporate it into your kit. You'll have to make a choice about whether you will focus on movement speed or strength. Early game, high movement speed is easy to acquire by just stripping to your birthday suit and strapping on some boots. When you actually want to have some enchantments alongside the movement speed, it starts to be a little bit more challenging to find an appropriate piece. At that point, I would recommend transitioning into tanky, strength-oriented gear. As a rogue, you naturally get 1 or 2 hit by most combat classes, so even getting 3 or 4 chances total to eat a hit during a fight can be a massive survivability increase. This brings me to the last thing I want to mention, avoiding hits. We don't have a parry, we don't have a shield, we don't have health. What we do have is the ability to manipulate our hitbox. Every class can do this obviously, but the rogue is the class that will notice when you don't. When you look towards the ceiling or floor, you actually cause your character's whole body to bend at the waist in either of those directions. You can use this to entirely dodge horizontal or diagonal attacks. Generally, you also want to crouch simultaneously. Combining that with a directional bias by looking to the left or the right of your opponent while doing these dance moves, you can confuse the shit out of them. Alright, let's take a look at the fight. So I'm following this wizard. He does not know that I'm here yet. I'm going to go ahead and take advantage of that, just stab him in the back. He's probably trying to cast Invis, he couldn't get it off. I realized that I'm about to get into a way bigger fight, so I pot up. I should already start trying to dodge my head back and forth here, but I'm just failing to do that, so I try to get a good stab off. Turns out one of them is going to die to that rupture. At this point, I'm completely panicking, trying to figure out a way out of this maneuver. And I'm looking around, I notice Xanzibars, my savior, what a hero, and I'm regain the confidence to get back in that fight. Walking over there, I gotta do a little zigzag through these things while getting shot at. At this point, I should still be trying to look back instead of just tanking these arrows. I realize that this is about to be a team fight. I can't tell if they're fighting each other or just me. Xanzibars is here, my reassurance is high. Confidence is high. I'm gonna do a little bit of a hide move, try to walk behind them. As that guy passes me, I'm going to initiate, get the backstab. At this point, I'm just trying to dodge his arrows, just looking around in every random direction so he can't get a headshot. If he shoots me in the dick, that's fine. And at that point, I know the fight's won. His buddy, it's a 1v2. There's no winning that. Alright, hope you learned something from this that'll put you a cut above the rest. Consider subscribing for more content like this. Me, Xanzibars, and Orlanthi stream every playtest. Come check us out on there for our next 48-hour marathon.